What's going on, Junkie Nation? It's MMA Junkie's pre-show, the show before the show, and as many times as I've heard that, it's the first time I think I've said that. Danny, is this my first time actually saying those words?
Yeah, that was your first time ever saying them. How did they feel?
I slaughtered through them with my ratchety voice that I was hoping would be recovered for this fight week, but I'm being optimistic. It's on the upward path. I think it's safe to say me and Danny both hit. We'll just leave it at some health roadblocks, but we're on the mend. We're getting better, and we're ready for a big week. I think that's safe to say, right, Danny?
Yeah.
We're gonna have you on Goza's seat right there, that microphone right there. Yes, sir. You got it. We got Stitch Duran joining the program today.
Stitch.
We're gonna have him for the whole show. So anybody that wants to call in, 866-522-2846. Oh, that's the first time I've ever said that too, and I said it off memory. Can do that, and we will have Stitch.
Yeah,
What's
I was
up,
afraid.
Stitch?
What's up, brother?
Stitch.
Yes. What's up?
Hi.
How you doing?
He changed his tone when he talked to you, Danny. What was up with that?
Like, wow. Okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna turn Stitch down just a little bit, but Stitch, what'd you have for breakfast today, Danny? You can shoot me feedback through the Facebook chat.
I had two cups of coffee, man. That's it, brother.
You're a savage. You're just ready to rock after 2 cups. You're just ready to go.
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
2 minutes.
I'm okay.
Normal. You seem like a guy who probably doesn't eat a heavy breakfast in the morning. You kind of business first, right?
Yeah, well, I get up wired up, man, and 2 cups of coffee will keep me going till noon. So
Okay.
I'm good to go with that.
Right on, right on.
I feel like two cups of coffee with no food would just make me shake until noon.
Okay. Yeah.
I would just be like buzzing.
Yeah, that would induce yeah.
But that's you, Danny.
Yeah. I actually never drink coffee.
I've
I've woken up and had an energy drink before, but I've never had coffee.
Yeah, I don't do energy drinks, man. My man.
I don't want to do energy
Yeah.
drink.
That was the voice of Ken Hathaway, and you can listen to him if you actually want to listen to him on the MMA Roadshow with him and John Morgan. Go check out their podcast. It's awesome. Part of the Junkie family. Come on now.
You are a little low.
I'm a little low? Yeah,
you
probably. I
We're
am
coming
a
up in a
little
minute.
low. Not anymore.
Tone.
Baritone.
There you
People are like, get Dan off the pre-show. This is why he doesn't do it.
go.
Well, you guys busting balls early, huh?
Yeah. Usually this is Go's territory, so I'm trying to do it justice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go's usually running the pre-show.
Is Ghost going to be
This
here?
is like this. No, Ghost is on vacation.
Oh, fucker.
I know, right? Come back at 30. I'll send him your love.
All right.
I'll say that exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quote me on that, man.
Yes, cool. It's a belated birthday greeting right there.
There you go. All right, guys, we're coming up. Stand by.
Cool.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me as always, is Dan Tom, our fight analyst. Danny Otto will be back east producing the show. Goes is off today. Our special co-host to my right is boxing and MMA cutman, also author and actor, husband and father and grandfather.
Yes.
What's up, Stitch Duran?
Hey,
Welcome
man.
back.
Hey, thank you. It's always good to be back, man. You know, it's been a crazy week, bro.
I know.
And, where do I want to report the news? No better place than MMA Radio. And
this is your home.
We have a strong relationship, man. And,
yeah.
I just regret that Ghost isn't here. They tell me he's on vacation. So I'll be the Ghost for the day.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have some news to share with us, but I do want to start the show off by just remembering the senseless and cowardly act that happened last year and acknowledging, many lives were changed by the Las Vegas shooting, the mass shooting that happened here. It was exactly 1 year ago today. And what I mean by remembering is obviously those that were affected by it, the lives that were lost. Unfortunately, many were hurt. It did bring the city together, and there were a lot of heroes, that prevented even more deaths and injuries. But 58 people did lose their lives, so we remember them. Many that survived are still affected by it, psychologically and mentally, not just physically. And our hearts are with you, every day, especially us that we work here, 5 days a week. And you'll find me here a lot on weekends. But I never forget, just how, that was just, it's something I want to forget, but it's something that I won't, because everything around here, just the other day I was kind of cruising by those festival grounds just because I needed to kind of cut through and head over to Tropicana. I went to Toque del Sabor, the Peruvian food.
Yes.
So as I was going by, my mom wasn't too familiar. I said, yeah, this is where that happened. So anyway, again, to those families that were affected, we're so sorry, and may that motherfucker rot in hell, honestly.
Yeah.
Whose name I don't even want to repeat. All right. So now that we have that,
real quick, though,
Stitch, this is a city that's been your city for a long time too. So,
yes, 23 years. But let me ask you. You said you drove by the area, but how many times do you look up at the Mandalay Bay where that window was shattered, where that guy was shooting off? And it's kind of heartbreaking. I saw the news last night. I got in last night from the Bellator shows where this guy made all these crosses, and he's made all these crosses, and put them up there on the entry of Las Vegas. But even last week, I participated in a honoring the heroes of this event. They had a boxing show at Westgate, and we awarded some of the first responders, second and third responders, with the courage that they did to go out there and help those people that were injured and didn't make it and all that. So it's nice to be involved with that. And you're right, you don't want to mention that guy's name, but you definitely want to give some respect to the people that were involved in that, the ones that were hurt and the ones that weren't hurt, just to be there. And I know my daughter Carla, I didn't know what was going on. She'd text me late at night, and because her husband homie, they were part of the radio production of what happened, and she sent me a text and says, "Don't worry, I'm okay." And I'm thinking, well, what happened? So they went to the first two events, and the third one they gave their passes away to friends, and got missed that opportunity, man. So there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I know this has been home for you for many years. So just like you explained, either we were affected one way or another, or someone we know was affected.
Yeah.
Luckily, us three weren't affected physically, but we know people. I know my friend Billy, who was one of the first to ever shake my hand and welcome me to Mandalay Bay, because we're almost 10 years here now.
Yeah.
One of the first guys that said, "Hey, I've been seeing your face a lot. What do you guys do?" And really, really nice guy. He was shot centimeters above the heart, so he was trying to protect his wife. It took him 9 months to come back to work because physically he went through surgery and rehab and everything was fine, but mentally and psychologically it took a while. So he only came back like in July or August, I believe. And so that father of four.
Yeah.
Imagine leaving 4 kids behind. Terrible. Dan, this has been your city for a long time too. If you want to say a few words.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of what you guys said, especially what Stitch said. Looking up at it, I'm lucky enough. I have a route into work where I don't hit a single street light. I get to take kind of the back ways in, but one of the back ways in on Frank Sinatra kind of takes you up this hill and almost pitches you at the perfect view, putting you right at that. I don't know if you want to call it tower or wing of the building, I should say, because there's about 2 or 3 wings of the building. And I can't help to say, but I look up at it every time, and I don't even mean to. I try to think about it, but it's one of those things where it does affect you. And yeah, it was a crazy time for me. I just was a month green. I'm still green, but a month green at that time with Junkie and Junkie Radio, working here. So it was not just a home. It was Vegas. Been here since the early '90s, but a workplace and home there. And I wasn't around, thankfully, but I got a bunch of messages just because, people, they don't know any better. They just know that, I work at Mandalay Bay, and if they're not from Vegas, right? So I'm sure you guys got the same treatment and a lot of those messages, and didn't need to be. I was fine. There was no need to worry for me at all. But, it was definitely kickstarted what was a kind of a crazy year or so. Reflection's kind of a weird thing, and, you don't want to reflect on the negatives or give credit to the wrong people, that's for sure. But at the same time, I think it's important. We get so wrapped up in day-to-day stresses, all of us, right, to a different degree, that stuff like this kind of reminds you what's really important. So
yeah, definitely. I'm sure throughout the city many things are going to happen to acknowledge those that were affected. I'm hearing maybe some lights may be turned down. I think there's going to be some vigils and all that. So anybody that wants to participate, either get a Las Vegas Weekly or go to Vegas.com, LasVegas.com. A lot of these websites are good, not just for things like this, but if you're ever coming to Las Vegas, they really update it in terms of what the latest entertainment and sports and those kind of options are. So check it out. Also, I have some of these. I really like mine, and I had to get a new badge because I couldn't find mine when I wanted to wear it. And I wear it almost every day. In the last few weeks, I took everything off, and then this morning I was like, what? I couldn't find it, so I had to dart over and get some. But this says Vegas Strong along with MGM Resorts. So I bought a bunch. They're only $25, but if you guys want, there you go.
Sir.
And I have a bunch because for those of you that are coming to this city, more than likely you have the same feeling I do. And most people, you fall in love with this city. Even if you only come once in your life, once a year, whatever. Especially a California guy like me, it's just part of your routine. You come for your friends' bachelor parties, and there's some people come for weddings, and I've come for everything you can possibly think of. Divorce parties, whatever. But I've been here many times, so even before I moved here, I fell in love with this city. And so if any of you come, hit me up. I have a bunch of these, and I'll give some away. But anyway. Yeah. All right, I hope you guys had a nice weekend. Stuff going down. See right here, right in front of us? These two teams, 162 games, couldn't settle it. This is a one-game playoff, and the winner becomes the wild card, which is basically the fourth team to participate in the National League or the American League, in their playoffs. So each side, the American League and the National League will have 4 teams, and these guys went all the way to the wire. So the Cubs are hosting the Brewers. One game decides who the wild card is, and then from there they're down to 4. And then on the other side, same thing. The Dodgers and Colorado, they have a one-game playoff at Chavez Ravine. One team goes, the other one stays. So incredible that it went down. I always tell my buddy Big Ralph, 162 games, you guys can't fucking settle it after that? I mean, how long is this season? Let's get to the playoffs already. And sure enough, it couldn't. Both teams, I think, wound up like 91 and 71 or something like that. So that's that. Also, speaking of my buddy Big Ralph, it's his dad's 73rd birthday today. So happy birthday to Papa Joe Salcido out there in the mean streets of Santa Ana, where I'm from.
The mean streets.
All right, let's get going. Bellator 206 took place this last weekend. Before we get to Gegard Mousasi and Rory MacDonald, Quentin Jackson, Brandon Silva, a lot of stuff went down. And, man, Bellator, congrats, because I look at the traffic reports, and we had a lot of traffic on our site. So hopefully the other sites were popping, and hopefully a lot of people were took in these fights because they invested some money, and I do want to get to the salaries in just a bit. But Stitch, out in San Jose, California, your neck of the woods, Central Cal, NorCal. This also happened to be, I guess, a final chapter for you.
Yeah, it was a final chapter, but, you turn the page and you continue your career. And, and I put something out on social media, and it's, the response from all the fans have been tremendous, and some people thought I was retiring. Mike Straka thought I was going to go into movies 100%. But, there's been some good options that have been offered to me, and I guess now is the time to release it in MMA Junkie Radio. But what happened is Orsat Zovko is a producer, TV producer. He's produced a bunch of shows in Croatia and whatever not, but he's also a top promoter in Europe and all that. Well, he just signed a 3-year deal with Caesars Entertainment, which is not an easy thing to do, right? And So Caesars Entertainment gave them a facility at the Rio that they're kind of designing it and calling it the Fight Dome. But the objective there is to have combat sports on a regular basis. And, tentatively we're supposed to have 10 shows this year, 40 shows next year. But
Wow.
1 week will be boxing. The second week will be kickboxing. The third week will be MMA. And then the fourth week, they call it the Night of Champions, will be all 3 disciplines together. The only organization, MMA organization, that's going to have, the only organization that's going to have MMA in a ring, like the old Pride days, right? And Orsat is, he managed Crow Cop, so he's come up through the ranks, and he's done a lot of the K1 shows and participated with them, and just a real good guy. So Jorge Elias, that's the vice president, CEO of the company, used to work with the UFC, and let me add, they brought some of the top members of the UFC that the UFC let go, and they're working with us. Jorge Elias used to be the Spanish producer for the UFC, so now he is the one that's going to be handling all that. But my job is the director of regulatory affairs, so I'll be dealing with the commission, I'll be dealing with the fighters. I'll still be the cut man, of course, but the thing that I really like, that really kind of caught my interest, is they want me to be the face of the company with doing interviews, a lot of seminars through video. Everything now is content. The Zone, it is a good example. That's where that transition is going now, and everything is that. So I'm part of that, man.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And that was going to be my first follow-up, was you still going to be a cut man?
Yes, of course.
And boxing still will exist in your life, although with a weekly schedule, especially in 2019, will that be tough to break away from, or will it be select events?
Yeah, well, there'll be selective events. This Saturday I go to Chicago with Jesse Vargas, and boxing usually falls on a Saturday.
Yeah.
These shows will be on Friday, so it gives me
you have that
opportunity.
liberty to go.
So I have that liberty to go and make the best of it. But I'm looking forward to it. It's like I say, I'm turning the page.
Less travel, huh?
Man, no travel at all.
Those miles.
This Bellator show that I did over the weekend, it was like my 11th weekend in a row. You got all the Junkie Nation guys here. Look at that, man.
These are some friends of mine from the mean streets of Santa Ana as well. So they're visiting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, good, man. And you got MMA Junkie Week today? Or this week?
The Junkie Gathering?
The Junkie Gathering?
It's going to be a smaller version of previous years, but there are some junkies that are traveling in, and they'll start. I think some start arriving today, tomorrow, and slowly but surely.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't want to make a big announcement. I've always wanted to sit down with Scott Coker, man to man, because I've known Scott for 30-something plus years. But every time I did the shows locally, he was always international, so I never saw him. And I was hoping to see him in Boise, Idaho last week, and he wasn't there. And so I called him, and Sunday after the fights, after Boise, and I said, I need to speak to you. And I explained to him, and he said, man, I'm never going to hold you back, Stitch, But
and you're a face-to-face guy, so even though you did do the phone call, you needed to see him.
And that's what I told him. So, I had an early flight yesterday, but I delayed it, and Scott and I met mano-a-mano, face-to-face, and I explained to him, and he said, man, I'm so proud of you, and, you've been great, and just all the accolades, but I've known Scott for 30-something years. When I had my school of kickboxing, ASK, we used to fight for Scott in San Jose. So it was nice, to have that relationship with him. But a little trivia on that, George and Dan, is, like I said, we used to fight in San Jose for Scott before he was even Strikeforce. But when Scott brought me in after the UFC let me go, my first show with Bellator was in San Jose.
Oh, wow.
The Dynamite, right? And so it happens to be that my last show with Bellator was back in San Jose. So, it was kind of nice. And looking back, I'm telling my wife, Charlotte, I said, just another little trivia thing is my last fight with the UFC was Rory MacDonald with Robbie Lawler.
Oh, right? Wow.
And who do I work with on my last show with Bellator? Rory MacDonald.
Wow.
So that was kind of a blessing. And I think Oliver Coop, that we all know, says, there's a rainbow at the other side. And as soon as I got off the airport, I'm driving home, and what do I see is a rainbow. So maybe that's a good sign, man. But I'm looking forward to my new career, and helping the fighters and working with the fighters, and putting out some educational videos and whatever comes along.
And you got the movie Creed coming out, right?
Oh, the movie Creed comes out.
We're a few weeks away.
Yeah, well, Thanksgiving is it a few weeks away? Yeah. So it's coming along, and
about 7 weeks.
Yeah. I saw the second trailer. It's going to be a traumatic crazy, crazy movie, man. And I tell people, can't give you a storyline. Actually, last time we released it here, they kind of called me and said, hold back on some of the information.
Right.
But I could tell you that the storyline with Ivan Drago and his son is quite a tearjerker, man. And that storyline and the storyline with Michael B. Jordan and all that, it's Rocky. There's great storylines. So the movie is really going to be tremendous, man. So I'm looking forward to that moment.
All right. Well, FFC 31 will be the first event, right? Can
Yes.
you update us? I know there was a slight delay because it was going to take off this past weekend.
Yeah, this past weekend, yeah.
And do we know when yet the first show will be?
Yeah, the first show's supposed to be October 12th, a couple weeks. And what had happened is the Fight Dome, Orsat comes from production, so he brought in like 7,000 pounds of equipment, the lighting, the LEDs, whatever goes up in the roof, and it turns out that the reel didn't have the capacity to hold that much weight, so they're reinforcing the roof, so they had to delay it a couple weeks, and that's in the process of doing that right now. CBS Sports Net is involved, so Azteca in the U.S. is involved, so they've gotten some good networks that are going to host these shows on their own networks, and so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so let's October 12th. I know you'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. Count on it.
Good.
All right, and I would have been there last week as well.
Of
so
course.
yeah, definitely. Orsat was on our show, and I told him, of course, we can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
What's in his mind once it gets put out. I mean, he's been successful.
Yeah.
He went through his history of the different production companies he's managed and sold off, and the different types of shows that he's acquired, and same thing. So we expect big things from him.
Yeah, we do. I went with him to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the hearing, to see if he was going to get his license, right? And he gets up on the podium, and obviously it looks like a court. You got all the members there, and you have a person that's typing everything. You have a couple attorneys, and so he felt like he was in court.
Right.
And he says, "Hey, man, I'm not guilty." But one of the top directors said, who wrote your resume? He goes, it's one of the best resumes I've ever seen. I never thought that anything like this was possible, but looking at your resume or your credentials, man, I'm looking forward to working with you. So that was a good start.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
What's the most impressive thing on your resume?
That I'm co-host MMAjunkie Radio, bro.
Yeah.
And taking tours. And what
I was class valedictorian.
Where you were?
Yeah, except I was homeschooled, so it wasn't that big of a deal. How about you, Dan?
I was the gorilla food terrorist in the food terrorist.
Yeah?
I just bashed that line. All right.
I was sergeant in arms in the Spanish club. Does
Oh,
that
okay,
help?
yeah. There you go. We all got something to contribute.
Yeah.
All right. So Gegard Mousasi defeated. Congrats, Stitch.
Yes,
Obviously,
thank you.
let me transition here.
Of course.
Gegard Mousasi defeated Rory MacDonald in the second round. We had the welterweight champion challenging the middleweight champion. Man, it just didn't look good for Rory.
No.
And it looked great for Mousasi.
Yeah.
He was a beast. It was easy to obviously come in here on Thursday and Friday and say, well, the bigger guy. But we knew Rory has some skills.
Right.
Hell, he's got a win over the UFC champ, Tyrone Woodley.
Yes.
So he's no joke. He goes out there, but he just never got going. Mousasi just put it on him. I can't say enough about his performance. Mousasi not only is one of the best, is the middleweight champion Bellator, he's one of the best middleweights, bar none. Dan, what'd you think?
I got to agree with that. I will say I thought it was going to be closer. I mean, I did pick Mousasi. I thought it was going to be more competitive. I did read some, reports. MMAjunkie caught it with Rory MacDonald after the fight. I guess he, saying he didn't show up mentally, which can happen, and it certainly could have looked like that. But you can't take any credit away from Mousasi. Furthermore, kind of what you just said, he's one of the best middleweights, but I think he's always been one of the best middleweights, and this was kind of just a reminder. You really look at this guy's resume, who he's beat pound for pound, above middleweight even at 205, or even his little brief stints in heavyweight when he took out guys like Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
It's really amazing, and the fact that he's talking about retirement and stuff, and I don't know. I hope he gets some big fights under his belt, as big as he can possibly get, because he's still definitely in a fighting prime of sorts.
Right. He's talking about Rafael Lovato Jr. maybe, and then maybe Lyoto Machida after that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already got a path there for his title defenses. Quinton Rampage Jackson defeated Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah.
Man, we had a 42-year-old versus a 40-year-old. I know they were past their prime, but they were still slinging leather.
Oh, they were, man. The thing, but, you look at Vanderlei and you look at Rampage. Rampage is so much bigger,
Yeah.
and but they went at it, man. Surprisingly enough, everybody was thinking, well, how's this fight going to go? But turned out to be a tremendous fight for both of them.
Right.
So, they both went out on their shields. And let me get back a little bit to Mousasi,
Sure.
which is great. I'm in the dressing room. Obviously, I went in the dressing room to say hi to him and all that. And the first thing he says, hey, Stitch. everybody from the UFC is coming to Bellator. And can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. And I said, yeah. I said, but who started the rebellion, right?
Uh-huh.
I said, yeah, you did, So, but it was nice, and he's just so calm and collected, that he's like Daniel Cormier. You never expect him to be as great as he is, just looking at his personality. But the guy can fight, man.
He's a beast.
And, when he dropped Rory, I get to Rory, and his nose is just gushing blood. And, he's down there for seconds, and I said, Rory, we got to get you up. He goes, man, I broke my nose, And the doctor and I are working on him, and sure enough, you could just see
It's been broken quite a few times, and he had a corrective surgery, and he took about a year off because he wanted it to completely heal. So I know that had to really, really be demoralizing, not just to lose the fight, but to get that yet again.
Yeah.
Because it affects his breathing, and I think it's a mental thing.
Yeah, of course, man.
So
you ever get
that one's going to be a
nose?
long setback, and who knows if he'll be back in time for the Grand Prix. I mean, he's part of the Grand Prix,
right?
And I don't know if the commission will clear him. And now 50 Cent is throwing in his $1 million in it. Did you hear about that?
No, I saw
50 Cent's giving $1 million to the winner of the welterweight Grand Prix.
No
so
kidding.
Rory's going to want to accelerate getting better from the broken nose. For that, that's a huge payday.
Yeah, I saw 50 Cent there. He was right at ringside, and I didn't know if I should go say hi to him or anything like that, so I just left him alone.
Yeah. I don't know how him and Bellator are involved, but he is giving $1 million of his own for the winner of the Grand Prix. And speaking of, Douglas Lima defeated Andre Koreshkov. Great fight, but he caught him there in the 5th round. Koreshkov, the gas tank diminished. Lima capitalized. Great give your thoughts on Rampage and Vanderlei. I think I skipped you.
Oh, no. I was going to say, it was a better fight, I would argue, than most would have expected.
Yeah.
And again, I did pick Jackson, but I did say that expect to see a better technical version of Vanderlei. I know everyone was focused on what shape is he going to be on.
1-2s, right?
Yep.
There's straight punches.
Yeah, and he was training down there with Andre Dida down in Evolution Thai, Francisco Trinaldo, a bunch of other guys, Jose Aldo, obviously, Nova Vignal. They work, along with that guy as well, and really real good Muay Thai style for an aging aggressive style like a Vanderlei style. So it really, and I mean that in a complimentary way. Vanderlei, because we saw it right in the UFC, we saw him kind of adjusting the style where he was kind of countering a little more, right? Then he'd wait for the end of the round, and then he'd explode and steal the round like against Bisping.
Right.
So it was a more mature style, and looking at that trend and who he was working with, I did expect to see a better technical version. I would argue we did. Vanderlei even hurt Rampage.
I remember you said that because we're so used to seeing him throw those wild hooks.
Right.
And when he blitzes someone, sometimes he can't get out of the way.
Yeah.
He hurt Rampage. He backed up Rampage. But you're right. I did see a lot of straight punches, 1-2s, and that's difficult for him because you can just tell his style is violence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's no chess playing from that guy.
Now, you brought up a point about the Muay Thai system. And Vanderlei used to be a great Muay Thai fighter, but Rampage for checking or for blocking leg kicks, he's horrible at that.
Yeah.
So why didn't Vanderlei at least use those techniques to kind of get him off balance and then follow up with some hands? I think that would have been a benefit for him.
He threw some head kicks, but you're right. Maybe going to the leg would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, because Rampage is horrible for that.
Yes, yeah.
He'll take the pain, man. Yeah.
They're 2-2 now, and they fought twice in Japan, twice in the States. I'd love to see a 5th, but maybe in Brazil, just to give Vanderlei some love. I don't know if you know if Bellator's headed that way or not.
No, I don't know.
I've heard rumors in the past, and if so, and sure, I'd love to see a 5th one just to decide it. It sounds like both guys want to do that too.
Yeah. Well, they came in with open hearts, man. That's the great thing about it. And, if they fight again or if they don't fight again, God, this fight will be a memorable fight for both of them.
Yeah. So. All right, we got to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll continue talking about Bellator 206. We have Stitch Duran here in the house, boxing and MMA cut man, author, father, husband, and actor. Very talented man, and he's our co-host for the day. tomorrow night
Guys,
at 80
stand by.
Oh,
Coming
you
back.
fucker. I thought we were really back. You guys got me.
Stand by.
Because I have a good clock in my head, and I go, wait a minute, that wasn't a minute 10.
I was telling them, you're always on time.
During the commercial break, they were all tested for performance-enhancing drugs. George and Goes came back clean, but Dad tested positive for Viagra. Like a lot of it. Here are the boys.
All right, today is Fantasy Football Reaction Monday on Fantasy Sports Radio. Here, a complete recap of the week in fantasy football, and call in about your team, whether you want to brag about the victory or need a shoulder to cry on in defeat. And if your team is undecided, here a preview of tonight's Monday Night Football matchup between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Live fantasy football right now on Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on connected devices and speakers. All right, again, we're co-hosting here today with Stitch Duran, boxing and MMA legendary cutman, also going to be starring in the movie Creed, which will be coming out Thanksgiving weekend, so be sure to check that out, and we'll give you constant reminders. And let's not forget, he's also taking an executive role with FFC 31 headed your way on October 12th, so be on the lookout for that, and of course we'll be promoting it as we get closer to that. Right now I want to take just a quick break from our Bellator 206 recap, and of course it is fight week. UFC 229, Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov going to be throwing down on Saturday. But I want to do something special for a friend of mine, Dan Nielsen here. He's part of the Nielsen crew. All right, there's a bunch of Nielsens out there, and this is the leader. And for many years, they've treated me like family. His brother Johnny and I went to high school together, best 5 years of our life. And but Danny is the one that started getting us in trouble, beers and road trips and things like that, and so that's why I guess I got hooked on Vegas. It's all this guy's fault. But Danny, I want to do something that Stitch has allowed us to do to a lot of our guests. I want to have him wrap your hand like a professional fighter, so you get the feel of what a boxer or an MMA guy feels like before he goes out there. So if you don't mind, stick that big paw out there.
And you end up keeping it, man. So here's what I'm going to do, because we're going to be on the radio. I'll tap, means open, close, okay? So just keep it wide open, and then open, wide open.
Yeah.
It's the first one, huh?
Now, Stitch has wrapped the hands of Vladimir Klitschko. He's wrapped the hands of Andre Ward.
There we go.
He's wrapped the hands of Brock Lesnar. He's wrapped the hands of every fighter you could possibly think of out there. And, of course, along with the wrap, not only is it something that physically protects your hands, mentally it just puts you in that place where you're ready to go to war. And I never knew exactly what he meant until he put me in one of those, and then I wanted to beat up I think I came close to punching a nun. That's how aggressive I became. And I was like, wow, this thing's amazing, and I didn't want to take it off all day, but it really helped hone me in and bring me closer to exactly a little bit. I don't enter the cage or the ring, but still, Stitch has been doing this for such a long time, and the one thing he's never done is shy away from showing people exactly his trick. A lot of other cut men won't show you anything, and Stitch has always been open about how he does it. But you'll note the protection that he gives your hand and your wrist, and anyway, I've always thought it was pretty cool, and I know you've been in your fair share of brawls, and you could have used something like this back in the day.
Oh, you're one of those guys, huh? Santana Bad Boys, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. He's a former rugby player.
Oh, there we go. That explains it all then.
Yeah.
So, as you were talking about, you almost punched a nun. Forrest Griffith, the best comment was when I wrapped his hands, he said it felt so good I could punch my mother.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Dan, in the meantime, while Stitch does this, Lima and Koreshkov. Oh, man, what a battle. I didn't get your thoughts on that. Go ahead and tell us.
That was a fun one. I was really looking forward to it. I was on the wrong side of that one. I picked Koreshkov, and by the way, a little inside baseball, or maybe not inside baseball, peeking behind the curtain of our Junkie staff picks. Every time Dan Thomas went and changed a pick, it's only been a few times. I can count on one hand. Every time I went to change that pick, wrong. Means Dan Thomas needs to be sticking with his gut.
Really?
Yeah, I went with Koreshkov this time. There's two different ways kind of looking at the fight. Either one guy was trending ahead with Lima getting the last win of the two, before they had their third match this last weekend, or you can look at the Koreshkov was winning the majority of the rounds that they fought.
Right.
And it all came down to those takedowns. Was Koreshkov
and he couldn't get any? What the fuck happened?
And Lima, to his credit, was doing some really good adjustments that I didn't necessarily see him do against MacDonald or previously. That was kind of his kryptonite. If a guy could wrestle. Not
which
that Lima
Koreshkov can.
Which Koreshkov can, and not that Lima couldn't, but from what we've seen before, right, George? And he showed to really improve that. I don't know if he had wrestlers come in or it was just an extra focus. Lima said it was a mental thing, which makes sense because he's residing on his back, and you're like, he doesn't look tired. Is he tired? Why is he just sinking?
I'm glad you brought that up. How good was his cardio? He wasn't even breathing.
No. It was and he said it was a mental thing. He said he was worried about gassing out before, which is what it was. It wasn't that he was gassing out. He was worried about it, right? Playing games with his head, but he overcame that, and at 33 or 34 years of age,
that's amazing. Man.
Pretty experienced dude, doesn't quite get his due. Just reminded why he's one of the baddest 170 pounders on the planet, whether he has a belt or not.
Right. Yeah. Lima's takedown defense improved. Koreshkov just could not wrestle, and I don't know. Maybe we'll find out there was a bad ankle or either just was an explosion to him, and Lima put his leg kicks to use.
Yeah.
I think he started out with one of the hardest body shots I've heard in a long time in round one.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah, man, that was something else. So kudos to Lima. I don't want to concentrate too much on what Koreshkov didn't do, but just concentrate on how well Lima adjusted. His cardio was through the roof, and then when he sensed blood, he went after it. Lima's got his fair share of decisions,
yes.
Yeah, yep. And so there's a little bit of a, hey, I'm going to cruise. Nothing wrong with that mentality, but in this one, he went for it. Not only did he want to strike and finish, when he saw the opportunity to get the submission, he called upon his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, and he put those to work. So really, really just a great night for Douglas Lima, and now he's that much closer to the Grand Prix belt, which along the way, remember, Rory MacDonald will be defending. That's why they went 5 rounds and the $1 million prize.
Dude's on a mission.
All right. How's it coming along, Stitch? Usually this takes you about 5-7 minutes, I think you said, right?
3 minutes, I'll be done.
3 minutes? All right. How's it feel, Dan?
Tight.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. You ready to hit somebody?
Well,
which one of the Nielsen brothers are all Don there in the middle? Which one are you going to hit first?
Who's lucky?
Yeah.
Matt Lucky works in Tustin. Leave him out of this.
That used to be the.
Oh, that's not a bad choice.
You're saying you just want to hit something like before when I was just like a casual follower of MMA, and remember those Mickey cans with Chuck Liddell on there and Forrest Griffin?
Yeah.
I used to see those in the store, like, Mickey's get drunk and hit people. And like that was in my head. That was their slogan. It really wasn't their slogan, obviously. Don't sue me, Mickey's. So that's what it looked like to me, and that's what you reminded me of when you said that, George.
Hey, I tell you what, Dan is a pretty good student, man. He does better than a lot of these fighters. Look at that.
Really?
I tapped the hand, open, close. There's no communication there.
Well, he's as big as an ox and almost as smart. So.
Taking shots over
I'm
here.
just kidding.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah. Whoa, that's a cold shot, bro.
Yeah.
Unless oxes are smart.
Stitch, there wasn't no stacking, was there?
No.
We don't want the Canelo camp or the Triple G camp raising any eyebrows.
Well, I was involved in that.
I
right?
know. I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. HBO called me, and they wanted me to come and do a segment on that, and I did it, which was awesome. But it's educating.
It was. Yeah.
It's just.
And even though there was really nothing too much behind the accusations, I thought it was great that they cleared it up because it was a storyline.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hey, speaking of hand wrapping and Bellator, Stitch, do you ever feel like an accomplice when, like, for example, you got to wrap Aaron Pico's left hand? You know exactly what he wants to do with that thing?
Yeah. That's this kid can fight, man.
He's something else.
He's just phenomenal, man. And I've always been the one to wrap his hands, but when it was time for him to get wrapped, I was up at ringside, so I couldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
And, but you can see, you don't need my wraps to be knocking people out, man.
Oh, no.
Wait, does Dan look like he has a formidable right hand? Maybe we could
does,
put him in there against Tyson Fury or somebody?
That's like a Brock Lesnar hand, huh?
Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go,
Sweet.
Dan Neal. So now you know what they feel like.
That's right.
Right before they go in for battle. What was that, the tap-out wrap or the knockout wrap?
Just the regular tap-out wrap.
Tap-out wrap.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
there.
like personalized.
Reinforced there on the wrist. You got protection for your knuckles. And then when they throw on a 4-ounce glove, you can only imagine the destruction that these guys do. Even the 125-pounders. I mean, they every hit hurts.
Yeah.
But should we send Dan off with a shot of proper 12 to make some good decisions with his hand wrap? Or?
Yeah, grab him up a shot.
So
are you driving home?
Dan, I'm going to cut it off.
I'm driving.
Open.
Okay.
Wait.
We'll do a picture.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll tell you what. Let's take our last break out of the first hour. It's MMA Junkie Radio on the new Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back, and we'll continue recapping Bellator 206. We'll also touch on the latest news, and, of course, we'll start previewing UFC 229, including Khabib Nurmagomedov at the T-Mobile Arena. He defends his title against Conor McGregor. That's right. The Irishman is back. And speaking of the Irishman, we got some of his whiskey here. So courtesy of Dan Tom, we'll have a little bit of a taste test. Yes, we're all driving home, but we have our limits to just maybe a quick taste, so we'll be okay. All right, we'll be right back, folks.
Common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The MLB postseason begins tomorrow night at 8 Eastern with National League wildcard game. Hear the play-by-play on MLB Radio, Series 209, XM89, and streaming on your phone, and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. All right, we're rounding out this big trip by the Nielsen family that has come in, taking these last pictures. These are the ladies, the better halves of the Nielsens. No offense, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for stopping by. It was really, really nice to see you all, all right? I hope you guys had a good time in Vegas. Hope Mandalay Bay treated you well. And you want to hear a funny story?
What happened? My man.
Awesome, man.
My pleasure, my man.
See the tall guy?
Yeah.
The skinny guy?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a funny story. So his name's Mike Nielsen. He's the youngest out of all of them. One time we all went on a bachelor party, and it was to San Francisco. And they said, hey, why don't we all wear soccer jerseys? That'll just be our theme. Okay, cool. I have a lot of soccer jerseys, so I was in, right? So we're all on the plane, and pictures about 20 of us, and we've been drinking since Orange County, since we waited an hour to get on the plane, to drinking on the plane and everything. So we're pretty sauced up. I'm towards the front, right? And this dude fucked me up so bad. that to this day, that was back in 2007. To this day, I still haven't got him back because it's got to be of equal, you know? Otherwise, you can't just, you know, when someone gets you, you can't just say, oh, yeah, well, I slept with your mom. I mean, that's a dumb comeback. You got to wait for a gem, you know? And I still haven't been able to think of how I can get him. So here's what happened. So the plane lands, and I get up to reach for my overhead, you know, my bag. As I get up, my jersey's exposed, right? And on the back, it says Ronaldo. Now, not Cristiano Ronaldo that plays for Portugal.
Okay.
It was the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You've probably seen him hanging around with Anderson Silva.
Yes. I saw him. I met him in Brazil.
Right.
You know.
All right.
So, that was nice.
So as I get up, Mikey goes, boy, that Ronaldo guy's really let himself go, huh? And I literally stood up, and the whole fucking plane erupts. Not just our group, others. Because I couldn't have been standing any taller and looking any bigger, you know? And, of course, Ronaldo really had let himself go.
Yeah.
So the joke was perfect. And I was like, you motherfucker. I mean, he got me so good, man. And to this day, I've just been waiting. I watch him, and I look, and I go, no, there's nothing to get him on. He's a good kid. He's a firefighter, family of 2. He's with his wife, beautiful wife. And I've never been in. I don't know if I'll ever get him. He may just get that one on me.
Wow.
And I can accept it because that was a gold.
But that was a good one.
That was
man.
a gem, man. He
God.
got me good.
So you're in this position.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm like this. I'm reaching for overhead. He goes, boy, Ronaldo's really let himself go nowadays, huh?
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, the whole plane erupted. Fucking stewardesses, other people that were flying, passengers, and my group, of course. I've never been able to live it down.
Wow, that was a good one though.
So every time you're hanging out, like you guys be hanging out, having a good time. Maybe let's say you're having having a whiskey there. Maybe you're about halfway through your drink. That thought creeps back in your head, doesn't it, George? It creeps back in your head. That mother. About the first or second, about 2 drinks in, you're having a good time, but that thought will always creep in when you're hanging with them, right?
You start to get that bitter drunk face, like I gotta get this guy. But you know what? Like I say, sometimes. If somebody gets you, you get them back, and it's there, all right, great. And sometimes you wait. That's why I always say don't press the panic button. Sometimes, you know, especially like, I'll give you an example. Khabib and Conor are still going to go at it quite a few times. And Conor's just going to, I mean, he's a joke a minute. You can't battle him head to head.
No, not
at
all.
You know, you got to sit there and wait. And then when you have a chance and you can zing him, you know. But you can't just sit there and go toe-to-toe on smack talk with that guy or he'll destroy you. Same thing, I think, when it comes to, you know, busting chops with your buddies. Sometimes they just get you and that's it. And what can you do? Touche, you know. He's still a great friend of mine. It was really, really great to see him.
That was a good one.
And thank you again for doing that for Danny.
Oh, no, of course. It's my honor, and anytime, and, you know, can't say no to you guys.
Oh, thank you. That was really, really cool. And like he said, I think you got that last comment. He goes, I'm like a kid at a candy store.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And, you know, those are the things why it's always good to give back, because you get these kind of responses from a guy like Dan, and you know, they're worth, you know, they're priceless.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes nothing for anybody to give back. So I'm always glad to do that. And anybody wants their hands wrapped, come to the MMA Junkie Gathering.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
We'll do 1 or 2 of them.
Awesome. Okay. Well, again, going back to San Jose, California, Dan and I were chiming in a little bit. You were in the middle of wrapping up, Dan, but what did you think of Lima Koreshkov, man? That was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, I worked with Koreshkov. Alexander Shemenko was there, and, you know, and look at him, and, you know, Russians are very, very quiet. But, God, I don't know if you guys noticed his shin. He had a big old lump right on his shin. I don't know if that was from a chin check or what. But,
I saw that,
It's pretty big, man. You know, but they never show expressions. You know, they're just very astute and just very quiet at what they do. But it was a good fight, man. And, you know, I went back to the hotel with Douglas Lima, and he's happy. He's limping, of course. You know, those are just the battle scars of victory. And but he was happy.
Arguably, Koreshkov in 2 fights had never even lost a round to Lima, right? Yeah. So that was a complete flip of the prior 2 fights. I know Lima caught him in that exchange in Israel, but even that round, I believe, was in Koreshkov's favor. I mean, we saw a complete Douglas Lima. We may have even seen one of the favorites to advance, or to win this welterweight Grand Prix, just because we remember how him and Rory went, you know, toe-to-toe recently. And I think the little tweaks that he can adjust to his game, he may have added them. And Rory, what's he going to be like after getting, you know, sorry, but kind of destroyed by Mousasi? How's he going to come back to that?
Yeah, and, you know, that's the thing with Rory. It becomes a mental thing. I mean, outside of the physical aspect, you know, like, say, he's had his nose broken consistently. But, you know, to end up that fight the way he ended up, just beat up, It takes a lot out of you mentally.
Yep.
So we'll see how he comes back. And and once again, same thing with him. He was a great kickboxer. I was talking about when he was a little phenom when he was 17 years old. And that never came to fruition. Also,
it's true.
So. Did he not use his best weapons?
I just want to add something on the Koreshkov note and the mental note. Koreshkov, even in the rounds he was winning or the fight that he won, his striking was a little bit different the way he would approach Lima. Like his spinning stuff didn't work as well. He wasn't as confident about it. And I wonder if that's just, some guys you just stack up. Some guys just are your kryptonite in that aspect. Yeah. And what I wanted to parlay that, maybe ask Stitch if he has any memories, things come to mind. We abuse the term the Tyson expression, right? We abuse that term in combat sports. But I was watching, I was doing my top 5 hook KOs list, so I was going back and watching a bunch of knockouts. And I was watching some of Junior Dos Santos' early UFC fights. And it almost felt like he had that because, staying on this same topic, where some guys, they come in and they don't look like the same striker that they are. You just said that about kind of Rory. And remember when he fought Gilbert Ivel? And I'm sure you guys knew who the Hurricane Ivel was before he got to the UFC. He already had a reputation as a striker. Yeah. But if you go into that, and I'm not by any means trying to knock Gilbert Ivel at all, but if you look in that fight, he almost looked, it was kind of, I had to settle into the fight, to put it kindly, and his technique didn't quite look as sharp as it normally does. And this is a revered striker, and then of course, Dos Santos ends up knocking him out. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys even remember that fight, or no? You can weigh in on what I'm saying.
Well,
as far as
what I remember is the breakdown and thinking that Junior would be better off showing whatever he has of his ground game rather than strike for too long.
Right.
Which is kind of what we've been saying about Khabib and Conor, and really even Randy and Liddell won. We kept saying the same thing. And here Junior Dos Santos showed us. Remember, guys, it is 4-ounce gloves, and it's no disrespect to boxing because that's a vicious game as well. But MMA is just a little bit more like violent and carnal, and so even a decorated striker, and I've seen it recently with Gokhan Saki, where they can come in and if they're fluid and their timing's on and they're kicking and kneeing and doing what they need to do, great. But sometimes you just get popped, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's like, that's right, this isn't my home, this isn't my environment yet. Maybe one day I'll make my environment like Alistair made it his environment. And so sometimes that first pop, that first reality check is when if you're not mentally strong, you can crumble. So, I remember in my breakdown, or at least in talking about it, just thinking Gilbert Ivel would have a distinct advantage over Junior Santos the longer it stood. So the result shocked me, but the history of the sport showed me that anything can happen in MMA, and so I shouldn't be that shocked.
Right.
Yeah, and you're right. People ask me, who's going to win this one? And I said, I can't pick them because we're all armchair quarterbacks, right?
Right, yeah.
And, the same thing with Canelo Triple G fight. And my analogy is always, and I'll give you the analogy on this one with the Conor McGregor and Khabib fight is, who's going to need a cut man more than the other? That's always the way I look at it, because that's what I do. But, I had said that Triple G was going to need the cut man more than Canelo, and sure enough, on this one here with Khabib and Conor, I think Conor's going to need a good cut man working in his corner.
Yeah.
Who wins, I don't know. But to receive injuries, that put us to work, I think that probability is pretty high.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. The guys are already in town, and they've already laid out the schedule from the UFC. And so since some of the junkies are going to be hanging out, we'll be able to go to most of them that are open to the public. A couple are closed, but still, it's going to be a fun week. I do want to get back to Bellator 106 just because we're running out of time in the first hour, although we still got the whole second hour, so don't worry, folks. And we can still take your calls at 866-522-2846. But Aaron Pico, Dan brought him up just a little bit earlier, and I wanted you guys to continue your reaction. This guy is tremendous.
Oh, he's great.
And those interviews that he gives pre- and post-fight show me that he's a confident kid for being so young. I mean, he already wants a piece of the champion, and so he's aiming high, but that's what championship fighters do. Leandro Higo is no joke. And, Dan, you pointed out that it wouldn't just be a picnic either. I mean, that there were moments that Higo could possibly capitalize. Yeah. And Higo threw a few strikes at Pico that caught Pico's attention.
Did.
However, Pico was able to recompose himself and execute what he needed to do. So that was a really, really good test for Aaron Pico to beat Leandro Higo. and he passed with flying colors.
Yeah, you know what? He's tremendous, man. I've worked his fights, in the corner, and such a body puncher, man. And anybody that goes great to the body is gonna really take you out of your game plan. But the thing I like about Aaron is he throws a volume of punches, and they all connect. And of course, he had Freddie Roach in his corner, so his boxing skills have gotten so much better. And I expect to see a lot of Aaron. Plus, he's a good kid, man, and that's what makes it even nice. You become a fan of his just because of who he is, and not so much what he's going to do, but he's going to do some great things.
Dan, we got about 30 seconds. Do you think Pico is championship material?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
You see that trajectory for him?
Yeah, especially after a fight against a guy like Higo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Olympic wrestling level pedigree. You know what I mean? And now the boxing that he came up with, a lot of people, when they ask him, he carefully points out that he actually boxed before he wrestled. Mm-hmm. But wrestling, obviously, took him to great heights. Yeah. He almost represented our country a few years ago. And he says he may still do that. So, anyway, all right. We still got an hour to go. Don't worry, folks. We can still take your calls, 866-522-2846. And we'll continue reacting to Bellator 106. And we'll start turning the page to this week's UFC 229 card. All right, stay close. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. We got Stitch Duran in the house, and we'll be right back.
I wouldn't sleep a minute away.
I had to play it for Stitch.
All right, it's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Hey, Danny, just keep it low. We'll see if Stitch figures it out. He's coming back right now from the restroom. We'll play it low as we continue talking here.
See if we get a head nod from him.
Dan, I probably didn't give you enough time, but Pico, what else impressed you about Pico on Saturday?
It's just mainly the jumping opponents, I mean, the line I thought was off, even though I picked Pico. I didn't think that Higo should have been upwards of 4-1 underdog, but he was. And just the attitude. Coming back from a loss, it's real easy to, let that shake you up early, especially the trajectory and the push that he's getting. But his attitude about it and the way he pursues it, and from all accounts, just really being kind of clean, hard nosed, straightforward, nose of the grindstone type of dude. It's all the things you want to see. I don't get that. I don't get that wild edge that maybe you've gotten from other fighters with the talents there. But I don't know where this guy's gonna go, or this guy, he's saying what we want to hear, and it just comes off real phony. I think this guy is just
like a little bit of what we experienced with AJ McKee, who's extremely talented, but where he said it himself. I'm just starting to really train.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't get that sense with Pico.
No.
You get the sense with Pico that he's already been training at a high level. But,
He's
yin and yang, they're good buddies, they're teammates. So that's the scary thing about AJ McKee is could he, does he still even have another level? And that's why Pico was very close to say someone's going to get you in terms of Frady. They're all fighting in those lower weight classes, and they're all chasing titles.
Yep.
That's the new generation of fighters, man.
Yeah.
They get better and better and better. And, the thing with Aaron Pico is his techniques are solid. Every technique that he throws is solid.
Kerry Melendez had a scare, guys.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That fucking Dakota Zimmerman, she was no joke.
She was no joke.
She came to fight, and she really tested Carrie Melendez on the ground. Carrie Melendez, I think, is a pretty fascinating fighter, man. She's taller than most of her opponents. She's got the reach, but she really, really punches hard. And, you know, she's Gilbert Melendez's wife, the mother of their daughter. And Gilbert, I've always felt like is a good student of the game. So with him in the corner, and like I really felt like this could be something similar to Pat Barry and Rose, you know, where one fighter's starting to wind down their career and the other one's getting ready to explode. I couldn't believe. I thought Dakota Zimmerman was going to get served up, but she went out there and, you know, her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game's pretty good, and they say she's only a white belt.
Wow.
And yeah, she came close to arm barring Carrie Melendez. You know, she was throwing up her legs to triangle. Carrie fought through that arm bar, and, you know, it went down to a split decision with Carrie Melendez and Dakota Zimmerman. But Carrie did get the call, and I thought it was the right call, but I thought it was also very close. But kudos to Dakota Zimmerman. She's a good fighter.
You know, and before the fight finished, I had to go to the back to wrap some hands, and after the fight, I had to ask somebody who won that fight because it was that good of a fight. You know, so good kudos to both of them.
Yeah. Gaston Bolanos defeated Isidro Gutierrez. I'm a big Bolanos fan as well. I guess they can't all be highlight reels, you know, in talking about Melendez, Pico, Bolanos. The competition's getting a little bit better. It took Bolanos, you know, he's kind of been a first-round guy, but he went into the second round, and he did get the stoppage. And I keep looking for that spinning elbow or something like that. But point blank, he's just a really solid all-around striker.
No, real solid all around. And even just little things like separations and certain things he was showing in his game. Like, he doesn't want to maybe stay there, but, you know, I think he showed like a takedown and showed grappling, and then, you know, how to transition from those spaces. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely put in the work in. So hopefully they bring him along nicely, and we'd see more of him.
Have you seen so much film? Have you ever seen? I want to go back one fight. You talked about spacing. When Melendez was framing and trying to get Dakota Zimmerman off her, Zimmerman actually pressed into her. She actually, you know, moved her guard up, and I haven't seen much of that. Have you seen a lot of that? You know, when Zimmerman was like on her back, but then she would actually pull, rather than pull down, pull back into her, and then Melendez would kind of have to frame her away, but Melendez almost looked confused, and I looked confused because I haven't seen much of that. Have you seen a lot of that?
You don't see much in MMA, but like more of like grappling competitions. If they're really guard centric, they really want to get there to their comfort space, then you'll see that like they really want to settle in. You know, maybe that's something. I don't know Zimmerman that well. There wasn't really tape going on her going into this fight. So I don't know what her proclivities are, but yeah, you know, if a fighter really likes from their guard, you'll see it's almost like the butt scoot, right? You'll see that a lot less, and even in tournaments that you see it less. They'll kind of give you warnings for that, even in just a grappling tournament, much less MMA. So for those reasons, you don't see it because it's just such a aggressive, submissive position. You know, not that being on your back is submissive. Obviously, Hoist Gracie taught us that lesson in 1993, but you guys get what I'm saying. It more of high level today, unless you really got that high level guard, unless you're like a Brian Ortega, you really don't see people putting themselves actively. Right. So maybe that was, Carrie Melendez is like, what the? I'm trying to get space. Like what?
She's longer limbed, so she was having trouble even being able to like frame to push her away.
Yeah.
And as she was too concerned with doing that, Dakota was spinning her body around to take her back.
Yeah.
That was also something that was a little bit new of a twist, which makes MMA exciting to me, you know, just seeing all the different techniques that are out there, all the different strategies. But I hadn't seen that one before in a fight.
Forget that. I'm just impressed on your description of what's going on, man. I didn't know you were that good with the grappling. You know, I mean, Dan, yes, I can understand, but you're talking about words I don't even know, you know. And,
well, thank you. I did take some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the guys over at Cobra Kai for a while,
see, I didn't know
but definitely nothing to be able to like call a submission grappling match or anything like that. But I was familiar with a little bit. I'd watch a lot, and then I even started going to.
Yeah, George watches a little bit of MMA,
and I watch a little bit of MMA as
well.
A
little bit.
Listen, below that we had Adam Piccolotti, lightweight. He got a win. But now I want to talk about the zone, and we'll do it quick. Because Stitch obviously was there, so I don't know how much he can chime in. But a lot of people early on were like, "Hey, wait a minute, mine's buffering, mine went out." I didn't have those problems. I had 1 second buffers that I've seen on Fight Pass. Hell, I've seen on TV broadcasts. I'm also older, so I don't get as upset over the littlest of things. But that little, was like a quick jerk where it would pause, but it would it would be back to being a fluid broadcast. I had no problems with the zone, and I actually enjoyed it, to tell you the truth. I had a real clear picture. Did you have any problems with it? Or?
Mine was super clear. This was my first time using it. It was crystal clear. I read that a lot of people were having issues, and it's funny. I was trying to do the math, and it felt like everybody that was having issues was either East Coast or UK. So I don't know if it was maybe from broadcasting. From the closer you were to the event, you're getting a better stream. I don't know if that was the case, but it seemed like from the really bad mental math that I was doing from the complaints and kind of seeing where everybody was from, who was complaining from where, or as opposed to who was saying they were getting a good stream. Right around the MacDonald Mousasi main event, though, it felt like everybody kind of got some type of a glitch, and that's when I got my one hiccup, where it went back to a previous fight. I think maybe the Pico fight, and it wouldn't let me stop. I had to refresh, log out, kind of log back in, and then it would play. Yeah. And then I kind of missed the first minute of the Mousasi MacDonald fight, and I read some of that happened to some other people too. But other than that, I can't complain. I liked it. I like their features. I like to have the 30-second fast forward or rewind. A guy like me, I likes to nerd out and watch exchanges. Oh, wait, how did he do that? Right. I like being able to just go back 30 seconds so I don't have to fish for it too much or spend too much time looking for it. Then I can rewatch the exchange, and then just like Fight Pass, you hit the live button, and then you can get caught back up to speed, during the commercial or something where you're not going to miss anything. Then you hit the live button, now you're back up to speed with everybody else,
Yeah.
So I like
the whole card was on DAZN.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
The first time they had Paramount and DAZN, both co-broadcast the previous Bellator event, but all of this was on DAZN.
Yep.
And this was turning a page for me, literally. Unless I can do the whole deal where I go computer to my TV, which I'm not smart enough to do, I'll have to have Ghost figure it out. I watch the fights on my computer, and that's just something that I'm gonna have to get used to. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the television thing. But it looks like everybody's digital platforming out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's just the way to go.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, and that's what really intrigued me with FFC, because they're doing the same thing, and say the zone is not only doing the MMA, but actually they're real strong in the boxing aspect. As a matter of fact, Saturday I'll be in Chicago with Jesse Vargas, and he signed with DAZN.
Oh, wow.
And so that would be broadcast on that network also, and obviously Anthony Joshua, heavyweight champion of the world, is involved with that. So Eddie Hearn is doing some good things, man. And but that's the whole new thing. It's not HBO is getting out of the picture now.
Can you believe that?
And that's crazy, But that's the
was crazy. Wow.
That's the whole new format of watching events.
Why is do you know anything about that?
Nothing at all.
You haven't heard nothing?
No.
They're out of boxing after 40-some years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
They were the heart of boxing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah, man, the sport is changing before our very eyes. All right, I promise these guys, if they call in, let's talk.
Let's do it.
Let's talk to Brian in Boston. Brian in Boston, what's up, buddy?
Hey, boys. I kind of have a quick comment. I enjoyed the action from this past weekend, but my biggest takeaway, what really bothers me, is Gegard Mousasi is so good, and he has always been so good, and he is so good across all disciplines that I feel if I looked at that whole Bellator roster, he's the number one guy that should be in the UFC. He's only 33 years old. I think he's held at least 5 world titles recognized by mixed martial arts organizations. Rory MacDonald can be beaten. Rory MacDonald has not been destroyed. Mousasi destroyed him. And I know I know Mousasi had a rough relationship with UFC towards the end, and they wouldn't pay him. I get all that. At the end of the day, that dude needs to be in the UFC fighting the top of the food chain fighters.
Yeah, well, so it's a 4-fight contract, and I think that's 2 down and 2 to go. But, him being a champion, I don't know what kind of clause he has. I remember one time when Dan Henderson came over for Pride, fought in the UFC, fought Anderson, by the way, and lost, then went over to Strikeforce. Claimed the title there, and still was able to come back to the UFC. A lot of these guys like Bader, MacDonald, or whoever, a lot of them will have the opportunity to maybe re-sign with the UFC in the future. I agree with you. I think he's one of the best middleweights, and I have no problem with Bellator. I just have a problem with Bellator's depth. they can't continue feeding him top-level fighters. So that's why they're going to go the route of money fights and Grand Prix and things like that. There's a few divisions that are really nice, and they have, some depth. So like featherweight and welterweight, and even some heavyweights, out there that they've been able to sign as of late. Minikov's even coming back, but some of the divisions are a little bare, and middleweight's one of them. So we'll have to see what Mousasi does. When Mousasi first threw his first couple strikes against MacDonald, I already thought, oh boy, this is going to be a long night for MacDonald. He looks even faster than I remember him. His kicks, his punches, and he was just flowing with this confidence like, kid, you don't belong in here with me. And that is saying something because Rory MacDonald is an outstanding fighter.
Yeah, MacDonald's phenomenal, and you're right. The way Mousasi handles himself, like how you and I and others on your program are always want these fighters to promote themselves like McGregor. I think Mousasi's promotion is just how cool, calm, and collected he is.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's only 33, and I feel like I've been watching him for like 50 years.
And he's got 52 fights under his belt. 52 or 53 or something like that. Yeah. He's done a lot in his career, my man. And who knows, if he'll continue with Bellator, maybe he'll test himself at another weight class, or if he'll explore free agency and give it another run, see, who else is out there. It's pretty exciting times in MMA in terms of what all the different organizations are doing out there. I heard One Championships trying to lure Eddie Alvarez, and they want to open up the checkbook. PFL's signing $1 million checks on December 31st in 6 different divisions. Bellator, you got a rapper who's in conjunction with Bellator's handing out $1 million. Good times to be the fighters now, huh?
Hey, man, it's it's just moving on up, But you're talking about Mousasi, and I think you said it perfect. Is he's so cool, calm, and collected in the ring, but not only in the ring, but just his natural personality.
Yeah,
is he just doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. And like say, when I saw him in the dressing room, he got up and gave me a hug. To me, that was an emotion, and you don't see that too often, So it's nice to have that kind of personality.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Thank you very much for the call, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
I'm glad you enjoy the fights. Let's go to Muna in San Francisco. What's up, Muna? How you doing?
Not much. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It's Van Tom and the gorgeous George.
Muna.
What's up, Muna?
Muna.
Not much. I just called to say hi. Stitch, it was a pleasure meeting you again on Saturday with the twins. So, man, it seems like you look younger and younger. You look good, man.
Well, thanks, man. I feel good. So I'm blessed, man. Yeah, but good seeing you guys. Also, the twins are gorgeous. They're looking great, and it was good to see Kendra in the game.
Awesome. So I got a quick question. I don't know if this was answered before, but Stitch, you will be in Creed 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I look forward to that. I know it's coming out later this year. And hey, George, I got a quick question. So what's Bellator's plan with DAZN? Are they going to have exclusive fights on it, or are they going to share it with the Paramount Network? Because I know they've got the free 30-day trial, but I'm wondering if it's something where, like what the UFC is doing, where if you want exclusive content, you've got to, or exclusive fight cards, you've got to go to either Fight Pass, or next year it's going to be on ESPN Plus. And so I don't know if you got any word on what Bellator's plans are.
Some fight cards are Paramount and DAZN. Others are just DAZN. But I think in 2019, most of it goes to DAZN.
Ooh, okay, yeah, it's just tough as a fight fan. I mean, you're paying for Netflix, you're paying for ESPN Plus, you got your Hulu, Amazon. So I know it's the future. And
as a fight fan, you're only paying for ESPN Plus and Fight Pass. Although I think ESPN Plus, you really don't need Fight Pass at that point unless you want to go for some of their original content or whatever. Fight Pass has quite a few of it.
Correct.
Fight Pass is actually more for the American fan. The international fan will still utilize. The international fan will utilize Fight Pass. ESPN Plus should have you covered for most of what you're looking for. So it's really just if you're gonna say as a fight fan, it's as a fight fan you got to pay for DAZN and for ESPN Plus. You paying for Netflix and Hulu, I mean that's not really as a fight fan. That's just I guess as an entertainment fan.
Yeah, that's true though. But I need a little variety. So I mean, I can't watch fights 24/7. I need a little Netflix and chill. You can't always do Fight Pass and chill. So.
I hear you.
Yeah, I definitely hear you, Muna. Our daily debate actually today is about our opinions on streaming services. So hopefully we'll be able to get more into that for you there. But I feel you, man. It does add up, especially when you start incorporating all the other stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go on the poll and make sure I let my voice be known. But you guys have a great week, and can't wait for this fight card on Saturday, man. It should be awesome.
All right, Muna. Take care, buddy.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
See
All right, Muna.
Let's go to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, vatos on the Vatos pitch?
What's up?
¿Qué pasó, mi Marcos?
Hey, I'm going to solve your problem of how to watch that song on your big TV. George, you got an iPad?
Yeah.
Do you have Apple TV?
I do, but I bought it like 10 years ago, 6 years ago, so I got to dig it up, I guess, and figure it out.
Okay, check it out. Get the DAZN app on the iPad. Start watching the stream. As soon as the stream comes out, there is a little button on the side. It gives you an option, AirPlay, Apple TV. You press it, and boom, it goes directly to your Apple TV. You start watching on your big TV. It's one touch. That's it. Look, 2018, buddy. You don't have to connect no computer to the back of your TV, man.
You don't understand my life, Marco. Let me tell you something.
That's what I did.
This is the way things work in my house, all right? I buy a lot of shit. But when it comes down to do it, and I'll go, hey, let's do DAZN. Let's hook it up to the TV or whatever. And then will go, you have Apple TV? Yeah, I got it. All right, you got DAZN? Yeah, I got it. You got a laptop? Yeah, I got it all. Cool. And then right when we're about to hook it up, he'll go, oh, you're missing an HDMI cable or something like that. It's like, fuck. Like you literally have to have so many things. Here's another thing. I buy a great printer at home. I'll buy ink, paper, everything. And I don't even use these fucking things at home, right? But when I do, like when I got to print something out, for the tax guy, just a couple times a year, I'll go and they'll go, you're missing ink. You're missing a colored cartridge. And I'm like, oh, it's yet another trip to fucking Best Buy. It's just my life, Marco. I'm old school. I just love a television where you can hit on, volume up, get the right channel, and that's that. All that other stuff, Roku and Hulu and Netflix and Apple TV and HDMI cables and this, that, whatever, the PlayStation, and man, it's just, oh fuck, dude. But I have to adapt. I have to figure it out one way or another. But it drives me nuts, and I can't keep up.
Real quick on the fight this week, and shout out to Douglas Lima, man. Holy shit! What did that Douglas Lima's been? Because the last two Koreshkov fight, they were like, he pulled a bone out of his head in the last one because he was losing, and then knocked out Koreshkov. And the one prior, he lost. And this one, he just ran through this guy. Then Quentin Jackson, I always say Bellator is good at Bellator with this freaking master thing they got. But Quentin looked good, man. He hasn't knocked out anybody in a long time. He finally knocked out Bundy for 2-2 now. Don't give me a free fight, though. And Mousasi, shit. What can I say, man? When the two guys have equal skills, but the other one is here, 15 pounds heavier than the other, that is when weight matters. Peace out, man.
All right, see you, buddy. I want to talk about the salaries at Bellator 206. Check this out, guys. Gegard Mousasi in the main event got $150,000, no win bonus. So he doesn't have to do 75 and 75. He gets his money up front. That may have been the difference why he went with Bellator, whereas in the UFC, sometimes you got to show up and win. Some guys are able to negotiate different things. Rory MacDonald, same thing. 150, no win bonus. Just show up and give us your best. Quentin Jackson, $300,000, no win bonus. Yeah. Silva, $200,000, no win bonus. Quentin is still very popular. The chain, the look, the nickname, it carries weight.
Sure.
He's a ratings guy. He's a television guy. There's a term out there, and I'm gonna text somebody during one of the breaks and see if he'll text me back. But there's a term out there in terms of your worth when it comes to your popularity, and it has nothing to do with social media or anything. It's just the pop that you have. So when someone goes, "You watching Quentin Rampage Jackson fight?" More people will tell you he's in like that top 5 along with the Rouseys and McGregors and Brocks. He's in that top 5 as far as people will go, yeah, I know who Quentin Rampage Jackson is. Tito Ortiz has that as well. A few of those guys just got it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if some of them are grandfathered in from previous eras or what, or how you get to it. You know what I mean? But I think that's why they pay him a lot of money.
Well, they've earned those stripes through their own marketing. I mean, you're talking about quitting. I bet you 90% of the fans don't know his real name.
Yeah.
Rampage.
Yeah.
You know who Rampage is. You know who Tito is. But they've marketed themselves to get to that point where they deserve to be.
And they say the right things. Like
Yeah.
they're cocky when they need to be, but he paid Vanderlei a lot of respect.
Oh, he's telling them
at the right time.
Yeah, he's telling them, they're hugging each other. So, man, I have so much respect for you, man. You
Yeah.
know? And it's nice to hear those things amongst them at that. I'm right there next to them, right? And just to see that these guys are gladiators, but, and they know each other for years and years, but to have that respect amongst each other is great.
Man, what did you think about that fifth fight pitch? And
I don't know how serious it is. Like I was kind of going off of what Chael said, where maybe Stitch, you can weigh in on this. You were there, but he said the look he saw on Vanderlei's face was that of relief, and he sensed maybe even retirement, that this might have been. He didn't say that for sure, but this, reading into it, may have been, Vanderlei. Could be Vanderlei's last one. I don't know. Did you get any feelings from that from either guy? Or?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at him. He's, he's sucking wind in the first round. He's, running around and
checking the clock.
Taking all this time. And, you could beat anything, but you can't beat time. And somebody like Rampage, just as big as he is and as strong as he is. I mean, I know the first time he hit Vanderlei, he dropped him, and I think, well, he's just heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So you're never going to lose that. And, but, yeah, I don't know. It might be time to start considering, going into something else.
And with the salary thing, that number sounded awfully familiar, so I looked it up as far as Vanderlei, $200K, I believe you said. And sure enough, that was his salary roughly for a show at showing at UFC 84. Don't ask me why. That's one of the cards that was always burnt into Dan Thompson. Keith Jardine. Yep, that was his first not first UFC win. You want to go back to his early days, but that second stint, that was his first win there. $150,000 to show. And I'm not pointing fingers either way. I'm wondering where that balances out. That was over a decade ago. You think about inflation, UFC to Bellator paying more guys in UFC, but this was also UFC's golden era. Do you see what I'm saying here in the mental math? I guess what I'm trying to ask is does that shock you, that number, or does that make sense that he's making the same roughly a decade later?
Yeah, I would have thought progression. As you go and your name gets bigger and you've done more fights, then you should get paid according to what you're worth.
Right.
He went away from 2013 to 2017 when he lost to Chael, and then he took another 18 months. So I don't know. Maybe that time off hurt him. At the same time, he became a 500 fighter. Maybe that hurt him. Quinton also became probably about a 500 fighter, but I don't think he had those long spells of just not fighting either. I would think in this day and age, here's what I think. I think when you sit down and go, like if you're Stitch Duran the fighter and I'm just George the promoter, and you go, hey, let's talk, and I go, okay. And you present to me why you think you deserve so and so amount of money, I'm going to counter. Somebody's already prepared some stuff for me, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, every time you fight, this is what Spike or Paramount or DAZN or whoever tells me. These are Google alerts or trends or whatever. I just think that at this point, the promoter side is just the
business side.
The business side, you know what I mean? Sure. This is what we can do, and you can negotiate up to a certain point, but at the end of the day, I really don't need you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And all you're going to do is get older. And if one door's already closed with the UFC and you really don't want to fight at one championship, no disrespect to them, but maybe your fan base isn't, primarily in Asia or whatever, or you just don't want to travel that far, and maybe you don't want to do PFL, then there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? But I see it here at Mandalay Bay. Same thing, years ago, if you watch the movie Casino, they're not kidding around when they say when you walked in, they knew what you drank, and they would give you comps, and they would take care of your players. But now, not just Mandalay Bay, but all of Las Vegas is different. Everything is just tabulated, hey, listen, you are a great guy. You do have a sharp suit. But you know what? You're always at the $5 blackjack table. You're kind of more of a show-off in the name.
Right.
But it's not like you're coming in. We got this other guy that's playing 100 a hand. We're going to take care of him. We're going to give him the sweet comp or something like that. Yeah. You at one point, you were something, but you're not spending as much. And so, therefore, this is what the bean counters, the actuaries say. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it boils down to. I'm trying to think, Dan. He should have made more money, but
maybe the front. Maybe
I don't know why. Yeah,
maybe it was a front end loaded.
Maybe
deal
he got a bonus when he signed.
Yeah,
could have been.
Yeah, or
he's a big enough name to command that even in the later
because
years.
Because 10 years ago was 32 age Vanderlei coming off the Pride legendary run he had there.
Very true.
At 42, how much negotiation do you have left? Because if it were like that in other sports, then, well, I take it back. Kobe did sign one of his bigger contracts towards the end, but it just seems like towards the end, a lot of guys will take these smaller contracts just to play one more year and maybe get a world title somewhere or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Confusing.
It's it's corporate America. I mean, corporate everywhere. It is a business for them, and it's about money. And like we were talking with Orsat and the FFC, we were talking about the towels, and he said, "Man, the Rio charges for everything, including the towels." So it is a business. Of course, and you have to understand that. But in the same token, you have to come in with your own facts and figures. It says, "Here's what I could bring to the table. These are the eyes that want to see me."
Yeah.
So there's counters to everything.
Douglas Lima made 130, no win bonus. Andre Koreshkov, 55. That leads me to believe that had he won, he would have gotten 55 as well. I doubt that was his entire pay. Aaron Pico, 80,000. Wow. 40 and 40, and this guy's only got 5 fights. Like that. That's going to get the attention of a lot of guys that fight in the UFC, and they're like, wait a minute, I got a pretty high trajectory. Yeah. Should I be making close to that? Leandro Higo took home 14. Kerry Melendez, 25, no win bonus. Dakota Zimmerman, 4,000. Gaston Bolano, 24 to show. That includes 12,000 win bonus. And Isidro Gutierrez, 2,000.
Can I say one more thing about the DAZN stream before I know we got a commercial break coming up here soon, but just so that our UK listeners don't go crazy on us, they probably had the most adverse streaming effect. I don't know if you heard, but Peppa Pig was playing during the MacDonald Mousasi main event because they ran the typical. I mean, just like pay-per-view, got to deal with time slots. So do these streaming services. So I mean, I definitely don't want to pick on them. They're going to get better. These are how these streaming services start. You always got to start off with a few kicks, but I had to shout out for our UK listeners who unfortunately missed
that. I heard, and that deserves some criticism or whatever. Yeah. I would like to say negative feedback, especially when it's someone's just starting off. Man, it really is difficult to launch something and to be absolutely perfect, on day 1. And even though this is day 2 for them in terms of MMA, it was their first full Bellator card on their own. But a lot of people don't see it that way, man. A lot of people get fucking livid at anything. They're out there just trumpeting.
And I was going to say, you can piss off a lot of people, but you don't want to piss off the Brits.
That's true.
So, props to them, man.
Yeah. I guess I just try not to be as much of a complainer as I used to be. I'm thinking it. I'm thinking what they're thinking, but by the time I run to my fucking Twitter and formalize something witty and by then the thing's working again. You know what I mean? Or I figure I'm more concerned about, where can I catch the fight rather than trying to holler, and hate on somebody.
Yep.
All right, let's take this break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We have Jacob Stitch Duran in the house with us co-hosting.
Dan Tom.
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good-looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get the radio channel numbers and a link to listen to your favorite NFL, college football, or Major League Baseball team sent right to your smart device. Just go to SiriusXM.com/sports today and click Add to my calendar. All right, I want to tell you guys something real fast, and then we'll continue with the MMA talk. We'll take some calls, and then we'll get out of here. On a Monday, it's October 1st, and it is Fight Week here in Las Vegas. UFC 229 is Saturday. Stitch, I went to my first Santana concert.
Oh, here at the House of Blues?
At the House of Blues.
Nothing like it.
Check it out, man. Goes brought the lead singer, Andy Vargas, to the show. And Goes has been 4 times. Nice. On this show, we have a practice of throwing each other under the bus. And so he made it known to Andy that I, a 49-year-old Latino, had never been to Santana, which is kind of shameful. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so when Goes told me he was going to do it, I was like, no, come on, Carnal, hang back, you know? But no, of course, the first opportunity he had, he did it. Now, many times I've done stuff like that to him. So, hey, well played. And, of course, Andy's like, what? You never been? I was like, no, man, I got to keep it real with you. I've never been. I've always wanted to go, but I've never been. He goes, you're going to be my guest, you know? So he left me some tickets to the last show from the last run that they had. Yeah. This was 1 week ago yesterday. And so I said, cool. I really was excited to go. And so I went on a Sunday night, and when I got there, you know, I got my tickets. I had a drink. One of the waitresses here gave me a drink. And the guy goes, you got to finish that drink before you go in. And I go, man, all right. So I was with my friend Brandy, and her and I went to gamble. Well, while we gambled, we won $500.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, oh, cool.
It's a good day.
This is working out.
Yeah.
So we come back. The drink's done. Now we walk into the House of Blues, and I'm still wondering how this is going to go, you know. And when we get in there, it was pretty packed. I think that last night was sold out. And now I still have my bad knee, and I don't have a crowd phobia, but I don't like to be too boxed in either, you know, because I get sweaty more than anything. I'm not one of those like, don't touch me. I'm not one of those pussies. I'm more just like, I get sweaty and uncomfortable, and I really wanted to enjoy it. So when I got there, we were kind of standing towards the back, and then I got a text from a friend of Goz's. Hey, you here? I'm like, yeah, I'm here at Santana. He goes, and I texted back, you here? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm going to come get you. And I go, all right, you know. And I told him, I'm here already. I'm already in. He goes, I'm on my way. And he came down from the 3rd floor, picked me up, and took us up. He had a suite at the top.
Oh, up on the balconies, yeah.
Yeah. Man, it was so cool. He had food and drinks. And so that was more my style. Even though I kind of would have wanted to be near the stage for about a song or two, I don't know if I would have been able to fight my way up there anyway.
Right.
So for now, that just worked perfectly. I had a good buzz going, and we were hanging out, some food, and, man, they fucking brought it.
Oh, of course they do, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
For one, I'm used to going to concerts where after about an hour and 15, 90 minutes, that's it, man. They call it a wrap. They do their songs, and then they give you the 2 for the encore, and then good night. I looked at my watch. I go, oh, it's been an hour 45. They've still yet to do the encore. They still haven't even done the part where they say so-and-so's on drums and give a hand for the percussion or whatever. He still hasn't done that. These guys went 2.5 hours, and they had so much energy. They were just cranking out the tunes. Santana was just jamming. Jamming, exactly. That's the perfect word. Andy Vargas singing his ass off. The drummer, which is Santana's wife, just boom, 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 you know, playing her heart out. It was so cool. And I recommend anybody that if you're coming to Vegas, take a look at the House of Blues, because what they do is residencies, and they'll do like about a 2-3 week run of like Thursday through Sunday. And there's a good chance you can catch them, you know. And they'll do like September for 3 weeks, and they'll come back in November. So, you know, it's not every weekend, but it's quite often. And I'm telling you, it's worth every single penny. I mean, I did get a comp ticket, but I would, even if I had paid, I would have walked out of there going, "Wow, that was amazing." And the funny thing is, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
You know, as long as my schedule allows it. Like if I don't have a UFC event or something like that, then yeah, man, I'm in. And they had just so many classics. They had so much energy. They put a different spin on, they covered a few other songs as well. But it was really, really cool. It was a band with 8 to 10 of them, The lighting, the acoustics. It's a great place there at the House of Blues.
Yeah, it is. It's tremendous.
I had an awesome time.
Yeah, the last time I was there, Carla has a friend. She has friends everywhere, right? But Sasha got us to give us a meet and greet with Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you, we all from the Bay Area, and I'm a big fan of his. As a matter of fact, it's how I named Carla after Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I got to meet him, and that was when scratch that off my bucket list. But these guys do jam, man. Just like the old Abraxas tapes and all that same classical music, plus their modern day music. And Santana is Santana.
It is. And so they'll be back in November and December.
Let's go together, man. We'll do it again.
Let's do it.
You guys
Dan, have you ever caught Santana?
No, I'm not.
I'm telling you, Dan, whether it's your style or not, if you're a hip-hop guy, sometimes when somebody goes, you want to go to an 80s concert? You're like, well, or whatever. Or if you're a country guy, you want to go to rock and roll? Well, it doesn't matter what kind of guy or gal you are. I don't see you walking out halfway through and saying, this isn't my type of music. Right. I'll catch up with you later in the casino. You will have a good time regardless. Whether you've never heard a Santana song or you've heard them all. Whether you're younger or older. Whether you like to dance or don't. It just seemed to be a fucking great night of music.
Yeah. And I'm like you, George. I like to be on the edges of the place. I don't like to be in the middle with people around me and all that. I just like to sit back and listen to Santana.
Yeah.
So, vamos.
All right. So I'm gonna look at the calendar and see, and hopefully if your dance card's open, and maybe we can make it happen. But yeah, I have to give them their props. So thank you, Andy, for inviting me, and thank you to you and the whole band. It was quite the show, and I'm going to definitely take a look. And whenever they're back, even if I can not make it, whether I'm out of town or something, I'll just tell our listeners, get out there and enjoy it. Mandalay Bay's got a lot to offer. We have a great nightclub called Light. We have this big pool where we have a beach and a lazy river. We have the House of Blues. We got some great restaurants. This new sports books just, got these brand new 3 screens. It looks beautiful. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So Mandalay Bay is the place to be. We got the Michael Jackson show, and of course the MMA Junkie Radio show. Stop on by Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Let us know you're coming to town. We'll do our best to have an MMA superstar for you to meet. Today we have Stitch Duran. He's co-hosting with us. If you haven't heard the news, Bellator was his last show with Bellator. I imagine you haven't covered it, but I imagine PFL also.
Yeah, PFL.
That conversation was had too.
Yeah, PFL, and I spoke to T Wade that did the matching, but I am going to contact Ray Seffel and Carlos Hill because they've been so great to me, and just out of respect. And same thing with Shannon Knapp with Invicta. I can't do any more MMA shows, but I can still do my boxing.
You'll still do your boxing, and you'll still do the weekly shows here with FFC.
Anytime.
FFC 31 on October 12th will be the first FFC show at the Fight Dome in the Rio Hotel. And, of course, as we get closer, we will talk about that event. All right, let's talk to Showtime from Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's your time.
Showtime.
What's going on, fellas? And Big Sticks, what's up?
Hey, man, just hanging out with the boys here.
Man, I'm always watching, man. When you're in the cornering guys when we're being the cut, man. I always tell my friends, I know that's my guy Sticks.
My man.
Man, the funny thing about it, everybody always say that what's the gentleman name that people that I've even heard you say it before. The actor that people.
Oh, Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, is he an actor? I'm like, well, he's been in Creed, but they named some other movies too. I'm like, no, that's the other guy that you guys are talking about. And I just thought that was hilarious, man. I've had people say that on more than one occasion.
Yeah, and then
I showed a picture of him.
Yeah, now Edward James Olmos is in Mayan MC, right?
Have you been watching?
Yeah, no, but I'm going to.
Check it out. You'll dig it.
So now that he's on TV more often, I'm getting recognized more often on that everywhere I go. And but I had the privilege of meeting him and actually doing a little cameo in a movie with him. But I get hit up all the time about Edward James Olmos.
Yo, really like Mayans?
Yeah.
Mayans is very close to like Sons of Anarchy. In fact, the Mayan gang was featured in Sons of Anarchy. Let me correct myself. The motorcycle club Mayans, not the gang, the Mayans. And so now they have, this is like a spin-off, we'll say. from Sons of Anarchy that ended a few years ago. It's on FX, and you'll really dig it. They're only 3 episodes in, and a few of the characters come over. And so far, they got me, man. It's really, really good, compelling television. So I've been watching it, and I recommend anybody to check it out. Give it a shot.
Oh, yeah. Hey, George, would you happen to have a Xbox One? I heard you talking about watching the fights. I actually watch them through my gaming console. If you got a Xbox One or PlayStation or anything, you can download that app. It's right on there, the Zone app. I downloaded it, and that's how I watch Fight Pass and all that right off.
I don't have one personally. Goes has one in his room, but in our living room, I don't have it. But I'll be able to figure it out. You know, I watched the fights on my laptop, and it was crystal clear when it was coming through. So I really enjoyed it. But I want to watch it on my television. You know, now I think what needs to happen, and this is what I need to get clarification from. Maybe Dan Tom knows, or I know Northern Lights listens, and he usually corrects me. But if in the past, I've had my computer with a cable connected to the television, but if the computer's being utilized for that, I can't go on my computer and tweet or look at other shit. I got to do that on my phone. You know what I mean? And when I'm at home for a few hours, I don't want to be tweeting from my phone. I'd rather just tweet from my computer. I can type faster than I can, peck away with my fingers. So hopefully there's something where I can wirelessly do that. I don't know.
I'm with you. I gotta find an answer for the same thing as well. But yeah, I feel your pain with that one.
Yeah. It's the best I can do, Showtime.
All right, guys. Well, I'm in a route, man. I'll see you guys. I'll be out there sometime Wednesday.
That's what I wanted to know.
Are you going to be around?
All right.
Of course I'll be here, man.
Showtime coming to town.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll see you guys later on in the week then.
All right.
Safe travels.
All right.
All right,
guys.
Easy Showtime.
Showtime from Tennessee. All right. We got to do our daily debate here. It's been a topic on the show a few times just today, and I figured now is a good time to put a bow on it. So here we go. After Bellator's debut on DAZN, and with the UFC headed to ESPN Plus next year, what's your current opinion on the influx of streaming services in MMA? These are the way you can answer. I'm all in. Will pay for a good product. Still on the fence. Or too many streams to buy. So there's 4 choices. I'm all in. I'll pay for a good product. I'm still on the fence. Too many streams to buy. Dan, start off.
It's tough. As a media person, it's almost weird to answer this one because we're going to be kind of all in at a certain point anyways, right? It's part of our job.
Good point.
So I'll try to answer it as a fan, I guess. But as a fan, it's weird too because emotionally I want to say too many streams. But I'm going to hold back from that. I'm going to say still on the fence because there's still a lot to be worked out on the streams. This was only DAZN's second show with Bellator, and I think there's more streaming services and more MMA companies on the verge of going that direction. So we're not done yet. So with that in mind, I'm still on the fence.
That's a good point. I'm all in because I cover the sport. Right. But even if I wasn't, I love a fucking good fight. I still, even at 42 and 40, I wanted to watch Rampage and Vanderlei. I wanted to watch the Grand Prix, which is even more compelling now with the $1 million payout by 50 Cent. I wanted to watch the champ fight with, so I can't get away from it. So even as a fan, I'm all in. I need to become more technical myself anyway. So it's the future. I just have to figure it out the same way my parents figured things out, and they walk around with their smartphones and they're able to do things. I need to figure this out. So I'm all in as a media guy. I'm all in as a fan because I just love the fight game. So if that's where good fights take place, then you'll find me there. How about you, Stitch?
Well, I'm like Dan. I think I'm on the fence right now. But my wife really said it best that now that HBO is not having boxing, we're going to cancel that channel, right? Because that's the only reason we had HBO is because of the boxing. So now maybe my currency will go towards DAZN and FFC and that digital platform that everybody's starting to use now. So I guess we got to change with the times, brother. Who would have thought, right?
Exactly. 1,418 votes came in, and 56%. Is that a 6 or an 8?
8.
58% said too many streams to buy. I think I have to get glasses, Stitch.
Wow.
58% said too many streams to buy. 21% said, hey, I'll pay for a good product. 13% are still on the fence, and 8% I'm all in. So the way I look at it is 58 are saying no, but there's still 42 that I think that are sold or will be sold. That needs to shift if you're an MMA fan, because that's just the way they're headed. So some of you might have to reconsider. And there you go. There's today's Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team and Stitch Duran. We got to take our last break. It's Fight Nation's MMA Junkie Radio show that you're listening to, and we're still Channel 93, and we'll be right back.
Whistled. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right. The MLB postseason begins tomorrow night at 8 Eastern with a National League wildcard game. You want to hear the play-by-play on the MLB Radio Network, Sirius 209 XM 89, and streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. So just to avoid confusion, today is a wildcard playoff between the Brewers and the Cubs and the Dodgers and Colorado. And as I say that, one of these might decide actually one of the divisions, and the other one might decide the wild card. And that's why when you hear that MLB postseason starts tomorrow, and you're wondering why there's games today, is because these are just to get into the postseason. So tomorrow, technically, the postseason will start. You'll have 4 teams in the American League and 4 teams in the National League. All right, so Stitch, thank you very much for coming in to co-host.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for rapping Dan Nielsen. You made his day.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. And I guess we'll be seeing you throughout the week. It's
Yes.
our Junkie Gathering. We have some events scheduled. And as always, people want to meet you, and they love meeting you. And thank you always for hanging out with us.
Oh, come on. We're all family, man, so why not?
Congratulations on your new gig.
Thank
We'll
you.
be here to support. And, folks, keep it locked on MMA Junkie, throughout the week. The writers are back from San Jose, and they'll be, them. You saw Ken earlier. Our video team, people will be working really hard to bring you the best coverage for UFC 229, which is slated to be the biggest card ever for the UFC. They're trending big numbers, and anything that involves Conor McGregor can definitely be that way. And it goes down on Saturday at the T-Mobile Arena. It's sold out. So make sure you order that pay-per-view. You don't want to miss what could be either an epic upset or maybe an amazing title defense by Khabib Nurmagomedov. We just don't know what Conor McGregor's coming back after almost 2 years of inactivity. Tomorrow also, the Goes will be back. He will co-host with us, and we'll be back to having our regular crew here. So great job, Danny, as always, producing. Dan Tom, the fight analyst as well, went 5-1 this past weekend. He's still at the top of our leaderboard there in the MMA staff picks. And, of course, Stitch Duran, boxing and MMA Cup man. Stitch, for sure, I'd love to have you back before that movie Creed drops on Thanksgiving weekend. And, of course, and you did a great job. And, of course, I took it to another level. I was fantastic. So kudos to myself. We got to get out of here, folks. Go out there and be a champion.